In today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world, silence is often mistaken for submission. People believe that to be quiet is to be powerless, that to hold back is to be incapable, that to sit in stillness is to be irrelevant. Was the truth, but the timeless and profound is that silence is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is the might of a disciplined spirit, a soul that knows its place, a heart that understands the timing of power. You see, true strength does not always need to shout. Real confidence doesn't demand constant affirmation. When a person knows who they are, what they carry, and where they are going, they are not moved by every whisper or storm. Silence becomes a tool, not a cage. It becomes a sign of wisdom, not absence. It reveals depth, not the chafe, not detachment. The strongest individuals throughout history have often been those who knew when to speak and when to remain silent. A lion does not announce every move. It does not roar while stalking its prey. It crouches low, hidden still, and then at the right moment, it pounces with precision. This is the silence of strength under control, the silence of a trained warrior who waits for the signal, with the silence of a leader who observes before acting, the silence of someone who has nothing to prove but everything to offer. There is also a silence that protects. Not every situation deserves your words. Not every critic deserves a response. Not every insult deserves a defense. When you have true strength within you, you learn that being provoked does not require a reaction. The mature heart knows that silence can be louder than retaliation. Silence can dismantle lies. Silence can confuse the enemy. And silence can give room for truth to speak louder than emotion. Self-control is one of the greatest expressions of inner power. Anyone can shout, anyone can argue, can react. But to be still in the fire, to be calm in the chaos, to remain unmoved when everything around you demands a response, this is the mark of someone who has mastered themselves. And what is greater strength than that? Consider the seed in the soil. It does not rise with a bang. It grows quietly, unseen in silence. But it is not weak. It is building something strong beneath the surface. Likewise, many of the most powerful moments in life happen in silence. Healing, growth, restoration, realization. When we are silent, we give space for something deeper to rise. Silence is also a sign of trust. It means you are not rushing the process. You are not forcing outcomes. You are confident enough to wait. You are rooted enough to endure. You are focused enough to stay still when others are running in circles. And this kind of strength cannot be faked. It must be cultivated through discipline, through experience, through pain, and through patience. Silence then becomes the armor of the wise. It guards your energy. It protects your peace. It preserves your strength. There is a kind of noise that does not come from outside but from within. It's the clamor of confusion, the echo of fear, the debate between doubt and desire. The world around us is full of voices, advice, expectations, trends, headlines, opinions. It is easy to become overwhelmed, lost in the sea of suggestions, unsure of which way to go. And yet, in the middle of this noise, silence stands as a sacred space. It is in silence that direction is not only revealed, but made clear. When a person is surrounded by constant motion and endless distraction, they may look busy, even productive, but they are often walking in circles. True arresting direction does not come from the volume of external voices. It comes from the clarity of internal conviction. And that clarity is birthed in silence. Silence does not mean inactivity. It means alignment. It means turning down the volume of the world to tune into the whisper of wisdom. A compass does not spin in noise. It points north when it is still. Likewise, the heart hears best when the soul is quiet. There are answers you cannot find in crowds, solutions you cannot force with noise, and paths you will never see unless you are still enough to notice them. Silence is the place where discernment grows. It's where truth is separated from emotion, where urgency is replaced by insight, where movement becomes meaningful rather than mindless. There are decisions in life that will define the rest of your journey. These moments require more than logic. They require listening, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. That kind of listening happens when you withdraw, when you unplug, when you step back from the chaos long enough to hear what really matters. Direction is not always loud. It often comes in the form of a gentle nudge, a quiet knowing, a sudden peace that passes understanding. And you cannot feel that when your mind is crowded with noise. Many people speak of purpose, of calling, of destiny, but these are not things you stumble into accidentally. They are revealed through intentional silence. The noise of the world tells you to hustle, to hurry, to catch up. But silence reminds you that your path is unique, that your journey cannot be compared, that your steps must be ordered. Not by pressure, but by purpose. And purpose is not discovered in the rush, but in the stillness. Think of the mountain climber who pauses to check his map, to recalibrate his direction, to breathe before continuing the ascent. That pause is not wasted time. It is necessary time. It is the difference between wandering and arriving. Silence in the same way is a pause that protects you from missteps. It's the moment you stop reacting and start responding with intention, which was the chief. It's the sacred space where you remember who you are and what you're truly seeking. Direction is not given to the loudest voice or the busiest schedule. It is given to the listening heart. There is a battle that takes place before the real battle begins. It is the battle to speak or to stay silent, to react or to wait, to defend or to endure. In the heat of offense, in the pressure of accusation, the most natural response is to raise your voice, to strike back, to prove yourself. But wisdom teaches us that not every battle is worthy of our energy, not every attack deserves an answer, and not every fire should be fed with words. Some battles are not won by argument, but by patience. Some victories are not claimed through noise, but through restraint. There are times in life when silence is not only noble, it is strategic. When you are misunderstood, it's tempting to justify yourself. When you are falsely accused, it's natural to retaliate. But the deeper truth is this: the strongest position in some battles is not standing tall with words, but standing still with confidence. There is a power in patience that disarms the plans of those who rise against you. And there is a wisdom in silence that confuses those who expect conflict. You see, when you remain silent, you allow a greater force to fight on your behalf. Your silence invites patience to do what pressure cannot. Patience allows time to reveal truth. Patience lets the dust settle so that clarity can rise. Patience waits until the moment is right. Not to prove a point, but to preserve your peace. Some battles are simply distractions. They are designed not to defeat you, but to delay you. They pull you out of position, drain your focus, and waste your strength. But when you choose patience over reaction, you keep your posture, you guard your direction, and you retain your authority. Even in Scripture, some of the most powerful moments were marked by silence. When a king was being falsely judged, he stood still. When the people cried out with false accusations, he spoke no word in return. It was not weakness. It was knowing that time would vindicate what words could not. The same principle remains true today. Your character will speak louder than your defense. Your patience will prove more enduring than your explanation. Your silence in the right moment will echo longer than any outburst ever could. Battles come in many forms. Some are verbal, others emotional. Some are internal, wrestling with decisions, wrestling with identity, wrestling with the past. In all these battles, there comes a point where silence becomes the key to winning. Not the silence of indifference, but the silence of discipline. The silence that chooses not to escalate, but to evaluate. The silence that says, I know who I am. I don't need to fight for a place that already belongs to me. Patience gives you room to rise above the fight. It lifts your eyes from the moment to the mission. It lets your enemies exhaust themselves while you stay rooted, grounded, immovable. When you speak too soon, you might say what you regret. When you act too quickly, you might move where you were never meant to go. But when you wait, when you remain patient, when you trust that truth needs no panic, you become unshakable even in the fiercest of storms. There is a timing to everything in life, a divine rhythm that governs progress, change, and fulfillment. But while many chase speed, divine timing does not operate by human clocks. It is not rushed by pressure, not swayed by urgency, and not manipulated by effort alone. Divine timing is perfect in ways that the impatient mind cannot understand. It often appears delayed, feels inconvenient, or even seems silent, yet it is always working beneath the surface. And to align with that timing, one must learn the art of stillness. Stillness is not laziness. Stillness is not passivity. Stillness is the quiet confidence that there is a greater hand at work, a wiser plan unfolding. It is a sacred discipline, one that trains the soul to wait with rather than strive with fear. In stillness, you begin to understand that some doors do not open because you knocked louder, but because you waited longer. You begin to see that rushing into what is not yet ready can cost you what was meant to bless you. There is danger in moving too quickly. There is risk in pushing ahead of purpose. Divine timing does not simply consider your desire, it considers your maturity, your readiness, and the alignment of circumstances you cannot see. So many times we pray for answers, for breakthroughs, for opportunities. But while we speak, we must also learn to listen. And listening requires stillness. If you are constantly running, constantly talking, constantly moving, you will miss the moment when the timing shifts. You will be too busy to notice that the door opened. Divine timing often requires silence because it arrives softly. It does not always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it comes in the quiet, in the gentle breeze, in the moment when your heart is finally quiet enough to hear. To be still is to make room for the divine whisper that says, now, stillness also refines you. It purifies your intentions. In stillness, motives are tested. Do you want what is right or just what is fast? Do you trust the process or are you trying to force the outcome? Stillness brings these questions to the surface, not to condemn you, but to shape you. Because divine timing is not only about what you're receiving, it's about who you're becoming. The waiting season is not a wasted season. It is the workshop where strength is forged, vision is clarified, and character is developed. Stillness teaches you to rely not on control, but on trust. Nature itself reflects this truth. The tide does not crash on command. The sun does not rise because we demand it. The seasons change by design, and so does your life. You are part of a divine rhythm that cannot be rushed and should not be resisted. When you learn to be still, you step into harmony with that rhythm. You stop striving for what is already yours by promise. You stop competing for what is already assigned to you by grace. Stillness positions you where divine timing can find you, not in chaos, but in calm, not in panic, but in peace. Before a harvest is gathered, the field must first be quiet. Before light breaks the horizon, the night is still. And before something great is received, there is often a season of silence. This silence is not emptiness. It is preparation. It is the space where your hands are open, your heart is readied, and your mind is cleared. Many people pray to receive blessings, opportunities, answers, and direction, but few realize that the receiving posture is one of silence. Silence is not a passive waiting. It is an active readiness. It prepares you to handle what you could not carry in noise. The noise of distraction, the noise of doubt, the noise of everyone else's opinions. These create interference in your ability to receive clearly. You might hear 100 voices a day telling who you are, what you should do, what success looks like, what urgency demands. But none of those voices matter if you have not made room in silence for the truth. Silence filters out what is unnecessary so that what is essential can enter. When you are silent, you are not closing off your life. You are making space in it. You are clearing out the clutter so that what is sent to you by design will not be lost in the noise. There is also a humility in silence that attracts grace. When you are silent, you acknowledge that you do not have to strive for everything. You do not have to chase what is already coming your way. You are not entitled. You are expectant. And that difference changes everything. A humble heart receives better than a loud one. It listens, it watches, it waits, and it does not miss the gift when it arrives. Name is the chief. Many miss what they've prayed for because they are too loud to recognize the answer, too busy to make room for the fulfillment, too distracted to carry what is now available to them. But silence trains you to see. Silence teaches you to listen deeply, not just with your ears, but with your whole being. Even the greatest treasures in life require stillness to be received properly. Peace, for example, cannot enter where there is shouting. Wisdom cannot settle where there is restlessness. Love cannot grow in chaos. And divine revelation rarely comes in the whirlwind. It comes in the whisper. To receive something deeply, you must be present. To be present, You must be still. To be still, you must be silent. This is the pathway that prepares you for the weight of real blessings. In silence, you are positioned correctly. Your ego is quieted, your fears are hushed, your doubts are muted, and your spirit is aligned. Then, and only then, can you recognize what is being placed in front of you. You do not fumble it. You do not question it. You do not rush it. Embrace the chief. You embrace it with clarity because silence has refined your vision and made you strong enough to hold what you once only hoped for.